Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's Shay Ryan Douglas from the Earth Heroes TV platform, and I'm really excited and absolutely feel honored to be sitting and chatting with Gary Douglas and Dr. Dain Heer from the Access Consciousness, the creators of it. This is a really exciting conversation because we're going to be talking about some of their new projects that are coming up, things that they're working on now, and even their future generation for what they want to, the imprint they want to leave on this planet for future generations. So I'm really grateful for your time, gentlemen. Thank you for joining me today. And
thank you for having us, cousin.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Cousin Shay.
There must be some connection. I think if we drew the family tree there and we
no doubt,
right.
You know.
Absolutely.
Besides that, all those Scots, they just went around screwing anybody, and so did all the Irish. So you got the Irish, I got the Scots. Between us, we've just probably had sex with just about everybody on the planet.
Yeah, exactly. That's that phenomenon of the Giant's Causeway, the pathway from Northern Ireland to Scotland. It's all linked and connected. I'm sure there's definitely connections there.
And I'm just here, like, not part of the inbred family, but enjoying it anyway.
Yeah. You're one of the second cousins.
Yeah, exactly. Second cousins.
It's so good. So you guys are in Texas right now, and you've been working on some projects down in Central America, which is really exciting. I'm pretty keen just to dive straight into it if you guys are open to it.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, as the founders of Access Consciousness, it all kind of interlinks and is interwoven into all the projects that you're doing to ultimately support humanity through this time of great shift, this great transition that we're moving through, and really create a community of people who are on for the same vision and mission, that we can really see a beautiful place to live and a beautiful harmonious planet to co-create in this magnificent realm that we find ourselves on. So I'm curious, with you've got your book, The Place, and you're currently raising funds for a movie. And then also you've got the really unique eco village community retreat center that is, on the verge of coming into being at the moment. So tell us more about that.
Well, we call it El Lugar, which means the place. So it's sort of like a continuation of the book. And it truly was. I mean, one of the things about the book is it talks about the land that nurtures us and takes care of us. And one of the things, when we first went to see this land, we drove onto it and I went, oh my God, this place is beautiful. And the lady who had found it for us said, Claudia, she said, and this is the ugly part. I went, what? And we went to the other part, which was another 900 hectares of land. And it was the beautiful part. And it was like unbelievable that it could be that much difference right across the river, but it was.
And the thing about it is the book, The Place, is, I mean, for somebody watching the Earth Heroes TV podcast, this is right up your alley. It is a book that puts into beautifully descriptive words through a story the elements of what's actually possible in communion with Earth and in communion with each other. Like where there is no separation, where there is no judgment, where the magic that you are can be acknowledged by somebody else and the earth and come alive. And so for us, building the resort, we wanted to do it differently. And we didn't want to do just an eco resort, which eco resort in Costa Rica means you live in a tent.
You have one light bulb.
It's
25 watt.
You have one 25 watt light bulb. You're living in a yurt or a tent. There's what we wanted to do was we wanted to bring that place where luxury and beauty and elegance meets communion with nature and earth.
Yeah.
And so in building it, for example, as we were meeting with contractors and getting
architects.
Oh goodness. And so much fun. And what happened was Gary said, look, they were saying, hey, so we're gonna take off the first top 10 feet of topsoil, and as is standard building practice. And Gary went, we're building on pylons. And they're like, wait, we
can't do that.
You can't do that. Like, actually, yeah, you can, and we're going to. And so we found somebody who could actually build on pylons, which meant that we are not disturbing the topsoil virtually at all, and we're not taking feet away. We're not moving any of it.
Yeah.
But also one of the other mandates is no tree is to be cut down.
And we have the junk trees. In Costa Rica, they use these trees that they consider junk, that they cut the branches off, stick them in the ground, and use them for fence posts. And then they will grow roots and grow trees.
It's awesome. It's like you have trees as your fence as a result of that.
It's like going to New Zealand, where they put those ferns, those tree ferns in the ground, and then they start to grow again. So that's what this does. It's a tree that grows like that in Costa Rica. And it's just amazing. And I told the lady who represents Centena, which is the group that is the ecology arm of the government in Costa Rica. And I said, our commitment is to never cut down a tree. And she went, what? I said, yeah, no, nobody's allowed to cut a tree here. And we have taken all the houses that we built, and it's like, and literally they said, we're going to have to cut down these trees. And I said, no, you're not. Move the house. So I made them move the house 5 feet in one direction so they wouldn't have to cut down any trees.
I love that so much. That's really cool. That's really, really cool. And just like going through the website, which those who are listening or watching, it's ellugar with a hyphen in between.com. Go and have a look and have a bit more of a read and learn a little bit more. And that's the question that I'd love to have in a conversation like this is like, what does it look like if, and I like to imagine this and have this kind of conversation, if the entire planet, if the world was in this state of accessing, a higher consciousness and living in an enlightened planet. And before we get to that question, it's because it sounds like this project is a kind of, a manifestation of that vision and that conversation that you guys are creating, which is like absolutely incredible. I'm curious to go backwards and ask the question, like, how did we forget? How did we go through so much, just look at our recent history as a, civilization. There seems to be this period where we forgot, who we are. We forgot our innate essence and magic and power. And I'm just curious.
I wish that was true. I don't think it is.
Nice.
I think we just had a whole bunch of people who thought destruction was the greatest way to create.
Wow. It's like an inversion. It's like the total opposite of what it really is.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So what we've done with this is like we hired a guy that we met years ago, young guy. He's like, what is he, 26, 28 now?
24.
24. Okay, good. So he's 24. But he came up with this way of heating water that costs pennies a day. So we can have really hot water, which is another thing you generally don't get much of in Costa Rica. They give you lukewarm showers, and they call that eco-friendly. And I think it's disgusting because I like hot showers. And it's like, so we have unlimited hot water. We have amazing, and we can do air conditioning. We do everything. And because of the way he's setting us up, it's like we will spend a couple of $100 a month to keep the electricity going in the villages that we're creating on this land. We have 125 acres at the front of the property, which is where the resort is. And we're creating amazing places there for people to stay and have beautiful furniture and beautiful land and beautiful views. And the wind blows through the casas in such a way that you don't need air conditioning unless you really want it. But you can have it if you want it.
That's cool. It sounds like a wonderful place. And I remember visiting Costa Rica, and even the local community and the people who live there, had this motto of pura vida, which is this magic essence of this
pure life,
and the creativity, the art through the streets. And it was just like the vibe of the people was just magical place. I really, really enjoyed it. And I feel like this is the perfect, location for such a, incredible project to come alive. And you guys are kind of like at that creative edge of, society and of life and, pioneering the space, I would say, with the work that you've done through your career, and particularly with this project. So what an amazing opportunity to do it in a place like Costa Rica. Wow.
It's just beautiful, and we love it. And it's, it's an amazing place. The place where we have El Lugar is like literally the breezes blow across it all the time. So we've set the houses up so that they catch the breeze and move with the breeze, and you sense everything going on. And the funny part to me is what has occurred since we've been there is there are more birds. There are 5 different species of toucans in Costa Rica. Our property has 3 of the 5, which makes us the 3rd best place to see toucans in Costa Rica.
Actually, toucans and all kinds of other birds, which is interesting, because the people that have been there ever since the beginning are telling us about all the animals that they're now seeing that they didn't see before. And as we're doing construction, we're also planting grass. We're making it you go on this construction site and you're like, this is a construction site? Other than the places where the buildings are, you can't tell it's a construction site.
Because we did the landscaping at the same time as the construction.
And we're using native plants. We have a nursery there of native plants that we're growing, that we're then, growing and then using at the resort. And it's got this sense. It's a very interesting thing, because it's the only, because I've been on many build sites for different things, and it's the only build site I've ever been on where it doesn't feel like it's being raped or repurposed. It feels like it's actually stepping more into its purpose. Yeah. And you go there and the land doesn't kind of feel, well, I guess raped would be the word, Yeah. And it feels nurtured. It feels like, hey, that's why I'm here. I'm doing what I'm here for.
And it nurtures you.
Yeah.
I mean, all those garbage trees that we saved have now grown orchids and bromeliads and other plants in themselves, so that there are these beautiful things with beautiful orchids and things growing in them. And you just kind of are stunned by how beautiful it is. And all the birds sing so loud. It's almost as bad as Australia.
wait, except the birds in Costa Rica sound like birds. That's the difference.
They don't sound like kookaburras.
Like kookaburras and that sort of thing. They're different.
Yeah, a whole nother breed. That's cool. And they got the macaw. Is it the macaw bird, the big red one in Costa Rica? It's a magic bird.
Yes, macaws.
The macaws, that's the one. Yeah.
And we have green macaws and red macaws and blue macaws now showing up at our property.
Wow.
We also met up with a guy who is doing a not-for-profit where he saves the local animals. And so we have told him he can turn anything loose on our property. So he comes to us every couple of weeks with a new sloth or a new porcupine or a new ocelot or something. And we turn it loose on our property. And it's just wonderful.
That would keep it exciting.
Yeah. We got a taper who moved in under one of the houses that we have. It decided it was going to live there, and that's where it lives. It's under a house. And it comes out at all different times of day and checks things out and then goes back in. And it is just so cool to see all these animals doing it. And the sloths go across a bridge to the other side where it's more forest, and they go across there, and then periodically they come back to check us out. I think it's
what's going on. Curiosity.
Yeah,
that's so cool. This sounds like such an amazing place. I would love to definitely come and visit one day, and sounds really wonderful. And my curiosity is, you kind of talked about a little bit before on how this is kind of more of syntropic kind of symbiosis way of living with the animals. It's also this, more harmonious kind of design consciously of how you can, lay out the land so that, you're not taking any trees down. But then also, I guess, what has it taken? The question is, what has it taken for, the level of consciousness of yourself through the practices, but also of the wider community for this to come into being, where you did speak about in the past, we've been in this kind of destructive mode. You know, the mindset, the old paradigm was to like destroy and cut down and, you know, obliterate. And the words that you chose to use was to rape the planet, essentially, which is, you know, when you look on a mass level, it's essentially what we've done in many respects. And so now we're having this shift to have more awareness around the way that we create our habitat in harmony with what's around us and what's present. So my question is, what is the key? Well, what has been the key for that bridge for from the transition from one to other? And I guess I'm kind of alluding to the amazing Earth Wizards group that you got on Facebook as a bit of a foundational pillar for bringing in community to, you know, do the practices to be able to go to those deeper depths, but then to actually be the bridge from the old paradigm into this new realm of reality that you guys are pioneering in that space.
Well, I'd say the bridge is actually people becoming more conscious, more aware.
Yes.
You know, we have a definition of consciousness. We do this work called access consciousness, like you mentioned, and he's been doing it for 30 plus years. I've been doing it for 20 plus years. And we have a definition of consciousness, which is where everything exists and nothing is judged. And everything has the freedom to be and no judgment involved. And we realize that whether it's personally or on a large scale, the only time you'll create a difficulty with anything is when you function from unconsciousness or anti-consciousness. As we get more conscious, that is the key to changing everything that ails us in the world, individually and collectively.
Yeah, we cannot save the planet by, you know, taking plastic out of our society, but we can learn how to dissipate plastic's destructive capacity by changing the molecular structure of it so that it becomes the components of what created it.
Nice. I like that. That's really cool. We recently, as a production company, we released our first film last year, and we explored an organization that collected plastics off the beach and from the oceans. And then they had this machine that they created to melt down the plastic and then reform it and reshape it. And to have another function for the plastic, essentially. They would make, you know, boardwalks and fences and all these kinds of things. And so essentially it's ultimately the transformation of energy through, you know, the awareness that you spoke about and the consciousness that we have to be able to create and stepping into, I love what you guys often talk about, our power that we often don't realize, that we have this ability to be able to create and innovate and, you know, come up with these wonderful solutions for ways of living and being. And I guess where I'm going with this is that you guys are in the process of looking at creating a film from the book that you've written. And I'm curious, you know, maybe to hear one of the short stories from the book that will be present in the film as a tool. Again, these are all wonderful tools to be able to share stories, to inspire people to realize, you know, what it is that is at our core, what is our essence, what we're really capable of. So if you feel open to share. Sure.
How about Need and Tug?
Oh, that's a good one.
Okay. So one of the things we talk about is like the main character, Jake, is in an automobile accident and his body is pretty banged up. And so it's like they don't have a hospital there, but they do healing on him and he is getting better. So he finally gets better and he calls his ex-wife to find out how his son is. And she tells him that she's taken all of his money because she knew he would want her to do that. And, you know, it's like, and she can't give him any money because she's got to take care of the kid. And you just kind of go, what? But this is what I see in the world where people do these things where they take money from somebody else and then they justify why they did it and how it's right. And so what he did is he needed money to get his car fixed that he destroyed in the crash. And what bird is making that noise?
That's goodness. Funny. That's a bird that hasn't been close before. That is now.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
It's like they try to get in on these conversations. Why did they do that?
I know. They're like, hello, we get it.
But the one thing he does is he goes out and he learns how to need and tug. Look for what you need and ask it to come to you. And it's like, and so he pulls gold out of the ground by just his need and his tug. And in so doing, collects about $250,000, which allows him to buy the things he needs for his car. And eventually the car gets back on the road. Eventually he goes back to his old life, sort of. But he leaves behind the place that is nurturing and caring for him and that he will always come back to.
I love that story. That's so good.
That was a good one.
Really, really good. I'm just going to leave up the link there for people to go and learn more about what these gentlemen have done with their lives and their career with the Access Consciousness. Yeah, I had a session for the first time about 3 years ago with one of my close friends who's been through the training. And at first I wasn't quite sure how, to take it. I was kind of lying there and she was chatting away and had her hands all over my head. And it felt like I really needed it at the time. I didn't realize how much I needed it being so stressed and stuck in my work mode and going. And it really brought me back to slow down and bring me back to center and just take a moment actually. And even the subtleties of the effects beyond the session afterwards was quite profound as I became more aware of my actions and how I was being in that moment. It's quite profound. And what you guys have done with this modality, I mean, taking it across the world with the workshops and the facilitation and the trainings, it's quite phenomenal that you've created this really wonderful and powerful movement to give people the tool and give people the power. It's quite phenomenal what you guys have done with this. And I'm curious to know actually how you two first met each other when you
Okay, so I'm gonna cry with this. I always do. Like, what happened is my daughter put the little tiniest ad in the world, $6.27. All of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. Call Shannon.
Yeah. And I literally a week before that, I had gotten to a place where I was so done with being stressed and thinking I had gotten to change and having it disappear. I had finally given up hope for the first time in my 30 years on the planet. And I went, universe, I'm done. You got 6 months. My life truly changes or I'm out of here. I literally set a date to end my life. And I thought in making that demand, I thought I was going to get out because I was like, I did my part. It's not working. Sorry. Hey, no harm, no foul. Bye-bye. So a week later, I come across this tiny little classified ad in the Santa Barbara paper. And it said that. And I was like, all of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. F you. My life is pain, suffering, and gory. I'm like, get out of here. And I threw the paper away. And the paper comes out once a week in Santa Barbara. I picked it up the next week. And the only thing I saw was that tiny little classified ad toward the back of the paper again. And of course, actually believing that the universe has our back and that these things actually work, I called her because I got angry again. And I said, what do you do? And she's like, oh, we do all kinds of stuff, but probably the best place to start would be with this thing called the bars. And I was like, what's that? I've tried so many things. I live in California, the woo-woo land.
Californicators. Okay.
Exactly. And she said, look, it's this light touch technique that's done in the head, and it'll just take an hour or so. And at the worst, you feel like you had a good massage. At the best, your whole life can change. And in the back of my head, I was like, well, my whole life better change or I'm out of here. So what do I have to lose, Figuring I was going to get nothing out of it. I go into this session depressed and suicidal. She puts her hands on my head and something starts changing. By the middle of it, I'm laughing my ass off, not knowing why, but having this wonderful sense of release. And I get up an hour and 15 minutes later with a sense of gratitude for being alive, a sense of space, a sense of peace. Like somebody wiped away the stress. Somebody wiped away all of those things that I was using as the reasons to want to end my life. And I knew I was never going back there again.
A couple of weeks later, I called my daughter and I said, okay, so do you know any good chiropractors? Because I need a chiropractor. She says, and she had told me about this person that she had met, which I assumed was a girl, and I said, yeah, what's the name of that lady that does network chiropractic? It's not a girl, it's a man. Oh, okay, fine. What's his name? What's his number? Give it to me. And he goes, okay, fine. So I called him up and I said, okay, so I don't do well with number 1 and number 2 of network. I have to go to level 3. Can you do that? He goes, well, I went, oh my God, he's lying to me.
Well, I said, as a doctor, you can't say I don't know. So I said the next best thing. I've just started studying that. Thank you. And I didn't know he was psychic and he knew I was lying. But he came in anyway.
Yes, I did.
In fact, he drove right from that conversation to the appointment.
Okay. He said, when would you like to see me? Let me see when I can book for you. I said, can I see you yesterday, please? And he says, that's a little hard, but I could see you pretty soon. How soon can you see me? 20 minutes? Oh, yeah, I'll be there. And I was there.
And if you've ever had one of those experiences of meeting somebody and just knowing, like your best friend from forever kind of thing, it was one of those situations. Yeah. And so we did a session. And so what happened was he was like, hey, I'll tell you what, let's, if you'd like, I'm happy to pay you, or we can trade. And I went, oh, trading with the founder of Access, this, because I had done, found out that it was her dad that created this. And I'm like, heck yeah, I want to trade. And so we worked on money and clearing my issues that didn't allow me to receive money. And later that day, I had 4 new people sign up for care. And I was like, that shit worked. Whoa. And then when it came time to work on him, I was supposed to do this 3rd level of network, which is what he asked for. And I'm like,
that he didn't know.
And I said, look, I'm sorry. I don't think I can do this. He said, look, ask my body what it wants. Follow the energy. You will know what to do.
And you will know what to do.
And I was like, oh, dude. It was the first person in my life that ever said, you will know what to do. And especially somebody who developed some technique that, well, literally saved my life. And, but there was a sense of peace that came with that, but also a sense of excitement. And I went, okay, if he says I'll know, then I'm going to friggin' trust that.
He stood across the room from me, wiggled his fingers in the air, and my body flopped like a fish out of water.
And I'd never done anything off the body before, right? I'm not like, I was a chiropractor. I did, light touch maybe, but like I was standing across the room doing this just because it felt like the thing to do.
Wow.
And
that's so cool.
When the session was over, I sat up and I went, oh, fuck. I'm going to live. Because when I went there, I knew I was dying and I didn't care. I just wanted enough out of pain to continue to work until I fell down.
Wow.
And I knew that I was going to live now. And this guy changed my life.
And
wow.
That's how we met.
Yeah.
That's something. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. That's quite an incredible story. Really empowering. And what was the words in the ads again?
All of life comes to me with ease, joy, and glory.
Wow.
And we call that the mantra of Access, which use it 10 times in the morning, 10 times in the evening.
It will change your life.
It truly will. You'll notice your life will start to change. And after here's the other interesting thing is we did this session, and for me, it made me realize, wow, there is a whole other universe available that I didn't know. The same thing that happened when I got my bars run. I was like, this change can occur this fast. I can go from this to this fast. And it blew my world apart. But so I started working with people and doing something that I now call ESB, energetic synthesis of being. But it also, in working, in doing this over the last 22 years, it also opened up to where I now facilitate people to find that space within them where they can be the magic in their way.
Yeah.
And all from this meeting, but also all from his willingness to trust that I know. and to
But
empower
I was willing
me.
to know that this guy could do things. I didn't know how I knew. I knew that I knew. And that's really part of the ticket to access, because we always have, the purpose is to empower people to know that they know.
Yep.
And people should know that they know, and they're told, you can't know that.
Yeah.
I was told my whole life, you can't know that. But I
Wow.
did.
Yeah, I love it. That's so good. And for those who are listening or watching now, accessconsciousness.com is the website to go and check out and go and learn more. You've got such an extensive website with so many different, resources available, even the portal that you can go in and sign up and get access to loads of great information and videos. And highly encourage everyone to go and check that out. But I really appreciate you guys for sharing that awesome story of how you met, and also, the inspiration that you guys aren't stopping here. It sounds like things that the best is yet to come, and things are growing. And
Exactly.
that's
we
cool.
started out, when we first started out doing Access, we were in 3 countries. Now we're in 179 out of 193.
Yeah, and we had 10 facilitators after our first facilitators class, and now we have almost 10,000 around the world.
Incredible.
And it's been a labor of love and possibilities.
Exactly.
And so it is. I love it. That's the way it should be. And that's really inspiring for me to hear that from you guys. So I really appreciate you guys for joining me in the conversation today, and sharing so openly and willingly, and such great stories that you shared with our audience. Again, guys, if you're watching or listening, go and check out some of the resources and the websites that we've shared.
We got lots of free stuff on there too.
Lots of free stuff. Yep.
Yeah, cool. And the Earth Wizards Facebook group is one to tap into if you really want to be the change.
No, that's terrible. That's terrible. Don't go on that.
Oh, I love it. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank
and
you.
I wish you all the best for the upcoming projects and the movie and the retreat, the resort. It's going to be amazing.
Thank you so much.
Thank
You're
you,
a great
Shay.
cousin to find.
Truly. I'm honored to be your second cousin.
Long lost Douglas. See you guys.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.